And if you look at it in one way, it sounds like simple advice. But if that simple advice is not followed, you pay such a big price, in terms of...
More than the advice, I think the awareness is very important. So if it comes on a mass scale, then I think, it makes a lot of difference, a huge impact.
Yes.
Because now the scenario is different. Like, young girls getting into, in the adolescent age, getting into sexual activities. All these awareness is very important. And most of the girls are getting, the awareness because it's again through a lot of social media and a lot of movies that have been, promoting all these things.
But to get the right advice.
Yes. The right advice is again through the right kind of people coming into the picture,
Yes.
Yeah. They shouldn't be, misled.
Yes.
That is something which is very, very important. So,
Maybe one or two sentences I will add is like abroad and all when I went and saw the scenario there in UK and US and also without the parents this consent or without their permission also they were allowed to go in for OC pills.
Okay.
Yeah, so like little bit it sounded little odd for me because even though practicing for so many years I said what is this? You are not going to inform them. They said no, we are not going to inform. She is about 16 years old, so high school, and we are going to give her OC pills because in the long run, if you think that is a better option rather than having an unwanted pregnancy, going in for an abortion which is not legally correct, and in some quack's hand where you get into infections and all that. So there they were allowed OC pills. I think if we go into little details, we know what age they are allowed. And US, UK and also I think here in India also now they are being allowed by certain gynecologists not to go in for that and prevent other complications. So that I wanted to know.
Yeah. So that's the thing, that this subject has so many touch points around it which are not directly only about IVF. There's just so much social and cultural environment around this subject. So I think people who in this field have to be extraordinarily sensitive, like almost like psychiatrists and people who extend a whole host of intelligences, not just about IVF. So I can see what it takes to run a center.
So that is why counseling has become a very integral and very important part of our practice. So when a patient first walks in to have a consultation with us, we spend about anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes just counseling them. We have professional counselors, psychiatrists, dietitians to address each and every aspect that might affect their treatment. So when you address lifestyle, a patient would tell me that no, you are telling me to avoid something which is unavoidable. I do a night shift. How do I sleep properly? So what do you offer in your counseling as an alternative to that? Okay, fine, maybe you can't correct your sleep, but what can you correct? You can correct your diet. No, I can't because, I eat from my office. Whatever they provide me, I will eat. No, you can take that extra effort, maybe cook your own meals,
Yes.
follow a diet, take some supplements, which will help you preserve your fertility. So avoiding screen time, avoiding laptops, avoiding mobile phones, this is not going to happen in our day and age, especially for somebody who's working in the IT industry. So, but there are certain things that you can still do as part of your lifestyle that can negate these effects to a certain extent. And that is where counseling is very important.
It's very, very well put. And I cannot, I can just think of so many examples of people who could have been helped if they just met the right counselor at the right time. And the way we check our blood, we are constantly looking at our RBC levels and just ensuring we are okay. I don't think we do it now, but I think there will be a time very soon when we will start checking fertility levels.
soon Apple will come out with, that there are trackers. Why not? The ovulation trackers are there. They have the LH kits, nowadays available.
Yes.
Where it's much easier than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people in the West do track, and even in India has come up where you can track your own ovulation, with an LH search kit.
Yes.
And yeah, but not as easy as having it on your phone.
Yes.
Okay, this is the time now. I'm fertile now. Let's plan. So.
Because, whether you go to the WHO or anywhere, preventative medicine is the name of the game in every single super speciality now. So it would be the case in this space also, and it would just be made commonplace, to help people And in this case, everybody needs that kind of help. So, what kind of evaluations are normally conducted in fertility assessments at your clinic? Normally.
So I will cover the female infertility
Sure.
and we can cover the male infertility.
Sure.
Female infertility, as the patient walks in only, we actually see her phenotype. Medicine we call it phenotype, means not the appearance wise I'm saying, but what is the body weight, how is there any hair on the face and all, what is the hair on the scalp, all those things in a glance we can if we are dealing with infertility, we do all that also, because that has a bearing on the other hormonal levels and everything. So that would be her first thing, to check her weight, check her blood pressure, and when she walks in, take her detailed history. We have the pro forma, so we don't miss out on any aspect like that. So that is taken care of. And then the first and the gold standard is to do an ultrasonographic examination and a blood test. So the ultrasonographic examination, as earlier we used to say, only do it on the second day or do it on the 14th day to know the ovulation, or just before menstruation. It's not like that. Any day she walks in, we know. Supposing today is the 5th day of menses, we know what will be the picture on the 5th day. So if it's not corresponding to that, I would form some opinion about her. So any day she comes and she is willing, that is a very good, like a third eye for the obstetrician and gynecologist. So the ultrasound has become like what we used to do with the fingers before.
Yes.
That was called as a pelvic examination.
Yes.
That time when we joined medicine and we were proctologists, we didn't have the ultrasound. So with the finger pelvic examination, we used to see how is the uterus, what is the size of the uterus, whether there is any fibroid, even that we used to diagnose, whether there is any ovarian cyst on either side in the ovary. So all those used to be our like how we used to feel inside.
Through the experience,
Yeah.
yes.
So that era has now been replaced. The pelvic examination has become obsolete now. Nobody does. In some situations we may do, but the moment you put a vaginal probe inside, the ultrasound probe which goes inside the vagina and very close to the uterus, everything becomes very, very clear to us. Like the uterus becomes very clear. Any fibroids are there, it becomes clear. Ovary size becomes clear. How many eggs are there also in the resting stage, we can count. So, and any factors in the pelvis, like lot of fluid inside means infection, like that. So of course those details we can keep it for later. So ultrasound examinations and blood tests. Blood tests would entail the general test, as you were saying, like hemoglobin, this, that, everything we do. Diabetes, is a diabetic or not, and whether the cholesterol levels are high, because that also has a bearing. The lipid profile, triglycerides, and her renal functions also.
Okay.
Renal functions are very important because that also has got a connection with the reproductive system. And her endocrinological tests, that is the hormonal levels. So there are two types of hormones. One is the hormone released from the brain, which will cause ovulation. So that has to be in a cyclical manner.
Okay.
And those hormone levels have to be low initially and rise after ovulation.
Okay.
So that we know which day it will be how much. So that level is called as follicular stimulating hormone, which causes the egg to grow, and luteinizing hormone, which causes the egg to break, because the egg has to break, that
Yes.
shell has to break, and then the small oocyte has to come out, and that will be fertilized by the sperm. So that levels we do to find out if they are correct or not. And recently new tests have come to know your ovarian reserve also. Ovarian reserve means like a girl walks in and says, I am 30 years old and I want to know how many eggs I have still inside,
Sure.
or how many years can I go on like that without getting married. And also that level is called as anti-Mullerian hormone,
Okay.
AMH,
Okay.
in the short form. So this anti-Mullerian hormone has to be in the range of 6 or 7
Okay.
nanogram. But when it comes down and comes below 2 units or 1.5, then what happens is their egg reserve is totally depleted, it's gone. So we have to be careful and tell her, counsel regarding. So lots of other tests are there, like inhibin levels and other levels, testosterone levels if there is a PCOD patient. Like her male hormones rise in PCOD,
Yes.
like that. So like that we have to go on looking at the hormonal profile, these tests, and finally in X-ray, chest and ECG, because she is going to be a mother. We want to know if there is anything wrong with her lungs or
Yeah.
anything wrong with the heart. So those cursory investigations like that. So there is a type of whole battery of investigation.
Yeah, that's what I
But
get
if
to.
we want to be cost effective and others and all, we only do the ones which we really need. And some cases they have some other problem, we will do other tests.